Good morning, Sunnyvale. Make sure everything is working correctly. Looks like we are streaming. We'll get started in just a moment. Welcome to a very early, much earlier than normal, virtual office hours. We'll set everything up, finish setting everything up and get started. Good morning, Shane. Hope everyone is ready for Friday the 13th. A perfect Friday morning for a spooky month. Welcome to my weekly virtual office hours. This week's early artwork is actually from Trader Joe's. It's I actually enjoy it. Trader Joe's put in quite a few murals when they opened here in Sunnyvale, and so this is a tribute, of course, to the Beatles' Abbey Road, and of course the Murphy Avenue here still had cars on it, but we've changed that, and so definitely it's actually better in the long term for the city, but the mural now is, of course, permanently out of date. So I don't think that there's any chance that they'd go back and spend the money to fix the mural at this time. But I do like how they captured Murphy Avenue, and they have actually quite a few good murals there at Trader Joe's. So if you ever get a chance, take a look around, because they've actually done some interesting three-dimensional stuff, as well as, there's the standard murals on their wall. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Sunnyvale Mayor Larry Klein. Thank you for joining me again this week. It's been a very busy week, to say the least. This is the 180th installment of my weekly virtual office hours. Hope everyone is doing well, enjoying our cooler evenings. Definitely, there's that cold weather is right around the corner. We now reached 1,306 days since the March 16, 2020 county health order started the shelter in place in an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Over 3 years ago, I converted my weekly coffee shop office hours into this weekly live stream address, and people still say they enjoy us, enjoy visiting every week, whether or not they're watching me live or watching it tape delayed. But they enjoy hearing from their mayor and getting updates on what's happening, but also, just me answering some of their questions and giving some general words of encouragement. So thank you for allowing me to continue to represent you and work for Sunnyvale. Most Fridays, not today, however, I follow up this live stream address with in-person sessions at Being Seen on Murphy Avenue. So if you'd like to reserve a 15-minute or 30-minute time slot, just email me at council@larryklein.com, and we can figure out a time. And you can always see my calendar at www.larryklein.com. And then, and if you have questions about what's happening in the city, that's also a good email contact, council@larryklein.com. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about what's happened at the federal, state, county, and city level. Over the last few weeks, 2 Sundays ago, Governor Newsom announced the selection of LaFonza Butler to complete most of the remaining term for Dianne Feinstein. And so, Senator Butler was sworn in last Tuesday by VP Harris. But Butler is a longtime union leader and abortion rights activist. She was president of Emily's List. There are several things that you need to know. First, of course, there's a lot of controversy on whether or not she will be running for re-election or for election as senator in March. So we'll see whether or not she's part of that primary. there's still a lot of question, and every day is one day closer to that March election. That being said, there's a lot of people supporting her, and so we'll see where that goes. There hasn't been a straight answer yet. I know that multiple reporters have tried to corner her, and it's ultimately been, we're evaluating, we're looking at it right now. So, and I think there was lots of support, of course, up until Senator Feinstein's funeral from the other, potential senators that are already in the race. But we'll see if she decides to run, what happens. So not really sure. And of course, there's the controversy of she was registered to vote in Maryland. She's been in Maryland for the last 2 years. She owns property here in California. That being said, she wasn't registered to vote and had to change her registration prior to the time of being sworn in as a senator. So lots of things from that standpoint. And, finally, there's also a question of how long her term ends. So the term, initially, I thought it was going to be until the end of Senator Feinstein's current term. It would have been to the end of 2024. The way things are, I've seen at least one article which says that it only goes until the next November election, meaning that there's conceivably 2 things on the ballot next year. One for senator from 2025 on, but also to fill those 2-month gap, November and December. And so we'll see how that, ultimately works out. But that's at least one. I've seen at least one article from the Chronicle that looks like that might be the case, that they couldn't appoint for the entire term. So I'm not sure. We shall see. And then last Tuesday, of course, the House voted to remove California Republican Kevin McCarthy from the position of House Speaker. And of course, that followed the previous weekend's efforts to avert the government shutdown. And so, Senator McCarthy, or Assemblymember McCarthy, worked with Democrats in order to get that bill passed and making sure we don't have a government shutdown. But, of course, then he heard back from his party, and it just shows how partisan Congress has become. But so his ouster was then forced after a force a vote motion, force a vote motion to on a motion to vacate. So it was not the best, and we have lots of turmoil, and we've had turmoil within Congress for a while now, especially with it being so divisive. So we'll see where that goes. They did multiple votes this week. There is no definite House leader. I think the person who had the most votes just decided not to remove his name from the hat. So we'll see where that goes. But no speaker has been chosen, and I think that just adds to more turmoil at the federal level. There's an interim solution at least. So we do have a temporary House person, but there's not a new permanent speaker. And then last Wednesday morning, I had a great time talking with our Sunnyvale public safety officers, and of course, numerous residents who came to Coffee with a Cop. That was at the Starbucks on Poplar and El Camino. But thanks to the Starbucks team, thanks to everybody who came out to meet the officers and talk to council members. It's always a great way to meet the random person who lives in our city. And then last Wednesday midday, I was at the Joint Venture Silicon Valley 2023 Silicon Valley poll event. And so that was down at Evergreen Valley College. But the survey reached out to over 1,000 different residents across the Bay Area, randomized and all that. But you saw some of the highlights last week of, those poll results of, definitely some questions and issues about what's happening in some of our biggest cities, people not going to downtowns. And, I think it's showing, some of the concerns about about housing and housing costs, the concerns about homelessness, lots of things that we knew, but it was actually very interesting to see how that polling turned out. And I think, it's like, as much as I've heard from a few electeds, like, well, those polls don't mean anything. I do think it reflects what's happening in the Valley to some degree. And, there is information there. Polls, polls are, the randomness of polls, you never know how good the results are. But that being said, I do think that there's a lot of good information there as far as that's concerned. And then, midday, of course, there was an emergency system test where everybody's phone should have got an emergency message at 11:18, a few minutes earlier than what it was supposed to be. But hopefully, that everyone it was interesting to see everyone stop for a second in the middle of their day and glance at their phones, all simultaneously. And then, let's see, last Saturday, we woke up to the news of the brutal Hamas attacks on Israel. And, the whole conflict and the response has been top of the news ever since. Some of the images have really been difficult to see, and some of the video difficult to watch. Bombing, shootings, kidnappings, and killing of civilians is, especially women, children, the elderly, it's just very difficult. So if you have family or friends in the region, my heart goes out to you and to them, and wishing for the best. There are many people who feel unsafe in our community right now. I was at a vigil on Sunday night with a lot of our Jewish community, and I've done a lot of outreach to the Jewish and Israeli community that live here in Sunnyvale to make sure they're okay. And it's not easy. I think there are a lot of the Jewish schools and the synagogues are closed today for, I think there's been a general threat in the Bay Area. And so, it's not easy to see what's happening, for one thing, in Gaza, in Israel, and then just looking at the potential threats around the world is not an easy sight. And then as far as this week is concerned, on Tuesday, council met, and we had an interesting meeting. Especially, because of potential disruption. So we had, I'll say, remote racist Zoom bombers attempting to disrupt our meeting. And luckily we had prepared, we prepared a few months ago that this might be the case. And it had been kind of an ongoing potentiality, but over the last month, quite a few different cities have been hit. I talked with one of the council members from Pacific Grove when I was in Sacramento a few weeks ago, and just hearing what they had gone through and not being ready for it. About 2 months ago, we updated all of our scripts to change that. We don't condone disruptive behavior, hate speech within our council meetings. And there's that line of First Amendment versus First Amendment free speech versus hatred. And and from our standpoint, it's trying to lock that down as much as possible. And we did an okay job. I think it took all people on deck to deal with the issues, but from that standpoint, I'm really sorry to see that there are people that are taking their time to disseminate hate, around the region. So anyway, as far as Tuesday night, we started with a study session on our climate action playbook, and this is our game plan for 2025, or basically, 2025 through 2028. And so We gave some input, and it was mainly to kind of lay out what the community outreach was going to be. There's a lot of proposed plays that we'll be undertaking, but outreach will be happening from October 30th to December 1st, and it'll be in person, hybrid, online. And council should be approving the final playbook in spring of 2024, and that'll define all of those plays of different things that we want to do to reduce greenhouse gases, to be better from an environmental standpoint from 2025 through 2028. So actually, I think it's good to see, and we've been talking about a lot of things, and out of our first climate action playbook or climate action plan, that's where Silicon Valley Clean Energy came from. That's where our food cycle program came from, and the amount of the tons of greenhouse gases saved each year because of just those two are fantastic. Of course, those are just the low-hanging fruit, and it becomes harder and harder and more difficult to figure out how to change decarbonize buildings, how to get people out of their cars, all those sorts of things become harder and harder to meet our long-term goals. And then we had 4 special orders of the day. One, of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So Bobby Smyrny, the co-founder for New Frontiers in the Prevention of Breast Cancer, she was there, and she's been, she started that organization about 22 years ago. She basically recently announced her retirement, and so it's really I'm sorry to see her go. She's been doing that for over 20 years, educating our community on breast cancer, all types of cancer, during COVID, the effects of COVID and what you can do, on cancers. And then finally, just providing support for people and families that are going through cancer. So it was sorry to, it's kind of a heartrending to some degree, lots of tears, because she's really made a difference in our community for the last 20 years. And it'll be sorry to see her go, but the library and several other groups are kind of continuing, picked up that banner and continuing to educate on breast cancer as well as all types of cancers. And we'll see how we continue to have that education in our community, so that light does not go out as far as what she started. And then we had other special orders of the day were National Friends of the Library Week is October 15th through the 21st. And, Friends of the Sunnyvale Library does fantastic things in our community. They've supported our library since 1967. And just since 2002, they've given over $1 million to the library to fund different programs. So lots of the summer reading program, the winter reading program, lots of the events, and the musicians, and some of the authors that come in. Just before COVID, Martin Yan was there to demonstrate cooking. All that's because of the good work that the Friends of the Sunnyvale Library does. And those book sales, you think they bring in actually a lot of money every year. And so it's great that they're able to do that. They fund little free library grants. They do, lots of things within our community. So thank you for them. And then the other 2 special orders of the day were Freedom from Workplace Bullies Week, which is October 15th through 2021, through October 21st. And then Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And so, cybersecurity is really critical. City staff, it's for city staff, residents, businesses, everyone, it needs to be prepared and what, look at every link and figure out when you're providing your personal information, what you're doing. Trying to be safe from cyber attacks is not, an easy thing in the world we live in. And then as far as main general business, we had one item. We awarded a contract to evaluate the options for the long-term operation and maintenance of the orchard, as well as kind of review the exposed expansion and kind of the future use of that general area. So, like beyond the museum expansion that was already approved, it was looking at, are there other opportunity areas in that general site? So in figuring out how for the next 100 years, what that site looks like, how it's managed. There's several orchards in the area and they're managed in slightly different ways. And so figuring out what's best. So that's what that contract and that outreach will kick off. And then as far as this week is concerned, all this week, Governor Newsom has been, in the news for signing or vetoing specific bills. The governor has a deadline approaching. It's that, Saturday is the deadline to decide on hundreds of bills that, the state legislator sent him last month for approval. And so, there were initially over 2,600 bills introduced in the legislature, and about 900 of them made it to Newsom's desk. And so, he's already, cast his final vote, signed specifically high-profile bills, and he's also vetoed quite a few. So, on Tuesday, the governor signed a bill to make it easier to detain people with mental health and addiction issues. So the whole care court system and enforcing them into treatment, so conservatorship. Newsom has already vetoed multiple bills. I think he vetoed 143 just last weekend alone. But there's still a little time, and we'll see. After the dust settles, going back through each of the bills and figuring out what's been signed, and then figuring out how our city, responds. So that's what we do every year, and we'll see what bills actually made it through. As I said previously, I won't be focusing on weekly COVID numbers anymore. But as I said a few weeks ago, the federal government relaunched the website where Americans can order free at-home COVID tests. So go to covidtest.gov. And you'll see instructions, on how you enter your name and address, and the USPS will deliver up to 4 tests to, your home. You don't have to pay for shipping, just providing your name and address. And, ours arrived just Wednesday of this week. So, we just got ours. And I continue to spend lots of time advocating, on our city's behalf at the county level, at the state, at the federal level. I just had a long discussion with, Supervisor Lee yesterday afternoon, Congressman Khanna. He has his town hall in Santa Clara on Saturday, tomorrow night. So definitely, join those discussions. Let me go ahead and announce some of the upcoming events. October is a really busy month. So this evening at 6 p.m., there will be a ribbon cutting at Rumble Boxing. So it's the boxing location right there on TAFE. Into the City Line project. I toured it last month, and it looks really great inside. And they already had quite a few people sign up. But that will be happening at 6 p.m. tonight at TAFE, on TAFE between Washington and McKinley, right downtown. And lots of things happening tomorrow. So Saturday is a very busy day. So from 8 to 11 a.m. the firefighter pancake breakfast is back. So it's happening at Fire Station 2 at Wolf and Arquez, right across from Lowe's. And all proceeds will benefit the Alyssa Ann Rush Burn Foundation. So it's get breakfast for a good cause. Support a good cause, and there'll be kids activities, so it's family friendly. And definitely I'll be there for a while tomorrow. And also tomorrow the Heritage Park Museum will be having its annual rummage and vintage sale, and that happens from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the the museum courtyard, so right there by the orchard. The museum won't be open, but the sale is always a great event with a great variety of items. So hopefully you can attend that. There will be a solar eclipse party on the library plaza from 8:30 a.m. to I think about 10:30 a.m. So that's going on. And then of course there's Supervisor Lee's Day on the Bay in El Viso will be happening. Silicon Valley Bike Coalition and Bike Sunnyvale will be having a ride to Alviso. So that'll be starting in Plaza del Sol, leaving around 9:15, 9:30, and then going to Alviso. So up Sunnyvale through the Baylands Park and over into Alviso. It's about an 8-mile ride, so it's not that far of a ride. And then as far as the event in Alviso, there's booze, there's activities for the kids, climbing wall, you can go kayaking, but food trucks and a few other things. But should be a good day. And then in the evening, of course, as I mentioned, from 5 to 7 p.m., Ro Khanna will be having his town hall in Santa Clara in Mission College. So not that far from Sunnyvale, right on the border. So maybe you can attend that. And then as far as both the following 2 weekends, this weekend and next weekend, there'll be extra dumping days at the Smart Station. So if you're a Sunnyvale resident, you have extra household garbage, you need to clean out your garage, you can get rid of things at no charge during extra dumping days, and that goes from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. So this weekend, the 14th and 15th, and next weekend, the 21st and 22nd. So all you need to do is bring proof of being a Sunnyvale resident, and as much as garbage as you can put into your car or truck, or if you're in a pickup truck, it's a one-ton capacity, but no hazardous waste and all that. But it's what we do several times a year to try to help people get rid of the large amounts of items that might accumulate. And then next weekend, also a busy weekend, Saturday, October 21st, Charles Street Gardens will be having their fall plant sale from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the 21st, also, Sakas will be having a Diwali festival that'll be happening at the community center from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So lots of music and dancing and art. So lots of activities for the kids. So definitely join that if you can. And then also on the 21st, Sunnyvale Community Services Auxiliary will be having their fall sale from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. At Sunnyvale Community Services on Kern Avenue. And it's a great place to pick up, do some early Christmas shopping for crafts. There'll be raffles, there's baked goods to buy. So lots of good things happening at Sunnyvale Community Services. And then Halloween, of course, is right around the corner. So, Sundays in October, we have movies, scary movies at the library. So last weekend was The Exorcist. This weekend will be the Suspiria. The 22nd will be Alien. The 29th will be family-friendly movie called Frankenweenie. And then, of course, the Halloween Pet Parade is back on Sunday, October 29th. So all you need, if you wanted to attend and join the competition and just join the fun, go to sunnyvalepetparade.com and they'll show you how to sign up. As far as upcoming council meetings, our next council meeting is October 24th. That will start with a study session on guaranteed basic income. It's a study issue that we kicked off several years ago, and I think you've seen a lot of good cities do positive things, giving a helping hand to those most in need. And there's different ways that money is focused. So different groups within the community. So it's like, is it working parents going to school, all kinds of things that can be focused on. And it's giving that flexibility, giving that, that additional funds, which have shown to be very successful. So we'll see what direction council gives city staff on that. And then we'll also have several special orders of the day on the 24th. We'll have, it's Filipino American History Month, it's Picture Book Month. Senator Wahab, our new state senator, will come to do a legislative update, and then we'll be looking at approving the preferred concept for Lakewood Park renovation. So, and then I think, and there's also approving art and private development for City Line, for art that's at the corner of Murphy and Washington. So right there where the retail is. And so their retail on the first floor and office above, but right there on the corner across from Vino. Let me go ahead and get to weekly questions. If you have questions, just add them to the comments and hopefully I'll be able to get to them. Robert asked, happy Friday, Mayor. Do you know what's happening at 485 North Matilda? It was a Wendy's restaurant closed for over a year. It will be a Taco Bell. It'll be our 5th Taco Bell. So we have one on El Camino, Wolf Road, Hollenbeck, and Tasman. So the facade has really started to take shape, in just the last 2 weeks. So you can finally kind of get an idea of what it is. Eric asked, when is Tipsy Putt opening? So I actually just talked to them yesterday, and they're planned to open around November 15th. So just about a month away. So yeah, and Tipsy Putt, for those who don't know, is a new entertainment restaurant in the City Line project. It's indoor miniature golf, and it's also a brew pub and restaurant. So they focus on local beers to the Bay Area. That's the main beer that they'll be providing, and then pub food and all that. But there's a location in Sacramento, and I talked to them yesterday, and you can look in if you they've been hard on construction, and they're hoping to wrap up by mid-November and have their grand opening. Tina asked, will Under the Arch be a pedestrian walkway? Will Under the Arch be a pedestrian walkway or for cars? So this is also part of the new City Line development opening. So just as you go south from the Caltrain station, there's a big archway. It's about a 4-story archway, really tall, really iconic. There'll be a slight ramp, for traffic going in and out, but it's mainly a pedestrian zone. So that's where the pedestrian zone will be beginning. So it looks, it'll be fantastic to see. And there's 2 levels of underground parking underneath all that residential and office space, where the old Macy's used to be, where the core of the old mall used to be. Richard commented, hopefully you don't have to dodge cars on the terrible intersection at Aries Way in McKinley, wondering if it's going to take someone getting hurt before it's taken seriously. So I did remind City Line staff about this intersection. I definitely think it needs to have a stop sign, or at least reminders that pedestrians get priority in those intersections. So ultimately, that is a focus. Lauren asked, will City Line apartments also include affordable housing? Yes, 11% of the new 470 plus apartments that are right there by Redwood Square, 11% will be affordable. Any other questions? Josh asks, all the Target stores are closing across the Bay Area. Is there any risk of our store closing? So, for us, we have a very successful store. They've just invested a lot of money renovating it. So they've been doing outdoor and indoor renovations, and their hours has actually just expanded. So, they're seeing, even more business and being very busy. So they're now open. Our Target, Sunnyvale Target, is open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. So definitely they're doing well. Definitely you're seeing stores around the Bay Area, mainly, it's like San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland being closed, but lots of other stores are doing well. Rick asked previously what other retail and restaurants are opening at City Line. So, Rumble Boxing opened and we'll have their ribbon cutting tonight. Tipsy Putt will be opening in November. Yoga 6 Studio will be opening up later this year, end of November, December. And then as far as other restaurants, Melt, a grilled cheese restaurant, and Tiazi, a boba shop, will be opening up kind of below on the first floor of Target. So you'll start seeing more and more things open up as far as that's concerned. Let's see, I think that is all the questions. Let me see if there's anything else that came up. I'm having, of course, issues. Shane asked, what about City of Sunnyvale? Who has announced that they're running for what in 2024 election? So yeah, definitely we have two people running for mayor. So I'll be running for mayor next year. Councilmember Melton also decided that he will be running for mayor next year. Right now we have 3 other open positions. So 3 other districts: District 2, which is the downtown; District 4, which is the east part of South Sunnyvale; and then District 6, which is the north part of Sunnyvale. And we haven't had any official declarations for any of those 3 districts. Definitely we have the current council members, Vice Mayor Dean and Councilmember Cisneros can run again. But typically, because we don't have a primary, most election efforts wouldn't happen until the year of the election. So it's as opposed to, you hear a lot of efforts right now of the elections because of the primary. There's lots of things happening in March of next year, or in preparation for the March primary. But for us, we only have the next November election. So right now I'm running for mayor, and then of course Councilmember Melton is running against me. And then as far as the other 3 districts, don't have anything firm, but we'll hear more as we get closer to the election. I think, past January, things will start heating up quite a bit. So, you'll hear more about my true election kickoff next year. But definitely looking forward to continuing to be your mayor, hopefully past 2024. Let's go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for joining me again this week. We live in interesting times, new issues, new problems, new concerns come up almost every day. But I want you to know that no matter what challenges we face them together. I'm just thankful for everyone who helps out in our community and shown their generosity and kindness, throughout my time on council, but especially over the last few years, dealing with COVID, dealing with, all the different problems that face our city, to face our residents. Our residents really come together. Your actions and your attitude really do make a difference. Sunnyvale will emerge from this as a stronger community. We're in this together. We will get through this together. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.